Hello everyone. This video is going to be a bit more freestyle as I want to do a review on the new Warcraft book. If I got it right, it should actually be released today. And it is called Folk and Fairy Tales of Azeroth. We have the book right here. How do I do a video when the book hasn't even been released yet? Well, there have been some outlets, I believe the Blizzard store and other things that have dropped them early. But it should be a worldwide release. Pretty sure that it's today. It is... Let's talk about the book, shall we? It is a chonker of a book. If we compare the size... It's bigger than my head, starting off, but it's like size Chronicles. So it's quite a chunky book. The front, the way that they've done the artwork, the little reflection that's in there, it is absolutely gorgeous. The lettering as well, like you can see, the pages of the book is just very nicely done. The lettering as well, as I will show you a wee little example. Right. So it's like, it's a chunky book. It's one of those books, I don't know how your youth was, but it's one of those books that you would just draw out of the bookcase. It's late at night, it's time for one more bedtime story. And that's how this book portrays itself. They even got, and I feel like every book should have one of these, they got like a little string to mark where you are. It's like, once upon a time, okay, bedtime, and then you could just... It's beautiful. The artwork, I'll show you a few examples in just a moment. What I don't understand or don't like about the layout is, in the same example, you got like the... that one. The thicker prints. But it's placed in such a way that I'm like, it's part of the story, so I don't want to be spoiled about the story that I'm reading. So it's a quote from the story itself. It's before sometimes the moment that it still needs to happen. So I don't really get why they decided to like bolden a section out of the story and spoil you with it. But no big issue. You can just, you know, pretend like you didn't read it and... or pretend that it doesn't exist and don't read it. Now, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. Over the last few weeks, there have already been a couple of pictures dropping on the internet. Here, for example, we have a beautiful, beautiful print. I'm going to assume that you already guessed what it was, but that was the Earth Mother. Apparently, they watched Moana a couple of times, because to me, I believe she was called Tafiki. She looks a lot like Tafiki. Do I have another example? I'm gonna show you that one later down in the video. Like, gorgeously done. Absolutely gorgeously done. Some of the finest artwork, unique artwork I should say as well, because sometimes they'll just take pictures that we've already seen before, and they'll drop them into the book and be like, yeah, we got artwork in there, but these are, as far as I could tell, there was nothing previously shown already. So artwork is absolutely beautiful. Thick, chunky book, which is kind of great. Now, for your lore lovers out there, what kind of book is it? What is the story about? Like, is this a Chronicles? Is this something that is a need-to-know basis? It's a folk and fairy tales book, so it's mythos, it's bedtime stories that the world of Azeroth tells their children, that the world of Azeroth uses to explain certain things. That means that we're not entirely sure if the entire story told in the book is canon or not. It could just be a mythos, a retelling, a barber heard it from an innkeep, heard it from a soldier kind of story deal. But I don't think that's the point of this book. The point of the book, in my opinion, is to breathe life into corners of Azeroth that don't often get the viewing point. Like, a lot of stories are told from a Sylvanas point of view, or an Anduin point of view, or a Varian of Thrall. Epic heroes, epic tales in a story that takes place, which is great, which has its own place. But in this case, they look at, okay, how does the world of Azeroth view its world, and what kind of stories do they have to tell? Which I thought was pretty great, especially since the stories are quite unique. There are 12 stories in this book. The quality, the story itself, as my washer is just about done. The story and the quality itself, some will resonate more with others. the stories will always come down to taste. For example, there is a fisherman story in the book, which wasn't really my cup of tea. But then a friend of mine was really into it and was like, oh, I really love that story. So there, with 12 different stories, 12 different offers, I believe, there will be something for everybody in there. And for me, the quality range from like, okay, this is an okay story, to, okay, this could have also been on the WoW website, to, oh, this is really, really good, to one in particular that blew me away. The writing style, the beautiful words and descriptions, and just what happened in that tale, as well as leaving me with the feeling like I need to reread this 3 more times in order to actually get all the little details that they're trying to tell us. I freaking loved it. I love that story, and just for that one, I would say, like, go get the book. But again, there will be so many people, so many different tastes, and you will enjoy the stories that you enjoy. On top of that, I noticed on Twitter, somebody commented on one of the stories, which is about the Forsaken, and how the Forsaken are introduced to their faction. And they took away from it the way that the Forsaken are treated by their leadership. They took away from it the way that Forsaken society works. Where for me, the more interesting part was, oh, so becoming a Forsaken also means that your life has ramifications upon undeath, which I thought was really cool. It's like, oh, you don't entirely forget who you used to be, huh? And then you will run into people that you knew in life. I thought that was the fantastic part about it. So for each story, you will also take something else away, a different moral, a different, ooh, that really grabs me. Yeah, so all in all, would I recommend this book? Definitely. If only for the collectors out there that just want to add a beautiful new book to their collection. There is one story which I will definitely have to see what we can do with that to bring the content forward. Like, will we discuss the intricate little details that stand out? Yeah, there will probably be a dedicated video to such a thing. But then again, we have to wonder, like, okay, exactly how much of this is canon? How much is this to be more philosophical? Like, a good example that I would think of, like when you're thinking about Azeroth mythos, and how would the citizens of Azeroth see the world? Take the sun, for example. When we look at the sun, we're like, oh yeah, that's the sun. But a Tauren would call it Anshi, I believe. And they have a religion about it. And then when you're talking about, okay, well, how does the rest of Azeroth see such a thing? And how would, for example, a kobold who lives their entire lives beneath the ground, never digging up too high, how would they see something like the sun? What would it be to them? And I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really, really cool bit. Now I'm looking for... There we go. There we go. So this story is the one that grabbed me the most. Oh, I love this story so much. And it's one of those stories. Again, I'll have to reread it. I think I'll have to grab some pen and paper and make some notes and be like, okay, that could mean that, and that could mean that, and that could... Oh, okay. It's just beautifully well written. But again, there was no story in here that I was like, oh, this is awful. I enjoyed each of them in their own rights. There's even, no spoilers, but there's even one that's on par with the Illidan novel when it comes to gruesomeness and scariness, which I really liked. I really, really enjoyed that. To which also the obvious question was, like, okay, this is a bedtime story. Would you say, like, I have a child? Would you say, like, pick up the book and go read the stories to your children? Maybe if they're a little bit older, like, I don't know, 8, 7-ish. And if they're really into Warcraft, I would say, yeah, this definitely has some cool stories in there. Even a couple of stories that are for the younger ages. But then that scary story I was talking about, I was like, don't know if you'll want to read this to, you know, younger audiences out there. But it also depends on the child, of course. So yeah, that's my, as much as I could, spoiler-free review of Folks and Fairy Tales of Azeroth. Also a means of letting you know, like, this book is about. I noticed on Instagram and Twitter that there were quite a few people like, oh, is that a new book? I didn't know there was a new book coming out. So at least you're up to speed. At least you know that this is coming. And should be out today. So yeah, with that, I'm going to wrap up my review. I'm gonna get to work and see what we can do with this beauty of a book. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, see ya. Oh, that was I one. See ya. Better.